Hello and welcome to Changing World. My name is Anthony Smith, and joining me today is Adi Soozin. Now, Adi originally graduated with a degree in medicinal and biological chemistry. A few years later, she went on to do an MBA and has also studied computer science for web programming at Harvard University. After gaining experience as a marketing consultant, she now specializes in helping businesses achieve rapid growth. Now, Adi first came on the show about 6 months ago when she went into some detail regarding marketing strategies for achieving business growth. So, welcome back, Adi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me back.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it, Adi. Of course, it was about 6 months ago when we last spoke.
Yeah.
But for the benefit of people who have not seen you before, I'd like to just open things up with a question for you, which is, how did you first become interested in becoming a marketing consultant and helping businesses achieve more rapid growth?
Yeah, so actually in the 2008 recession, my parents lost everything because they trusted an unethical businessman to advise them on how to survive the recession. And after that, I had the opportunity to advise a few friends on their startups when they were faced with similar unethical advisors. And it worked out for them really well. And then from there, I had more startups asking for advice, like, hey, you really helped this company. Could you maybe direct me on this and that and the other thing? So I usually start by coming in as a marketing consultant and helping companies to figure out how to bring their latest venture to market. And then from there, I end up becoming an on-call advisor on a monthly or bi-weekly basis. I've been pulled in on everything from marketing meetings, which are more traditional, to M&A deals where the CEO is like, I trust you, please just attend this with us. So yeah, I did get my start with marketing consulting. And now it's branched off to just becoming the advisor and to many CEOs, which is a lot of fun.
Well, that sounds good. I mean, it's obviously you deal with quite a variety of different businesses and different people, I suppose.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is still it's called blitz scaling. It's where you go through a company and set it up so it's ready for very, very rapid growth, and then you put together the strategy for it to get that rapid growth.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds interesting, that. So you mention in your literature there are kind of 4 key factors which are important for any startup, and I gather we had a conversation earlier, and you call this the matrix. So can you
Yes.
explain what which is I mean, we won't talk about the film. that would be too complicated, I think. But can you just explain what your version of the matrix is?
Yeah, so it's the MD9 matrix. We internally they call it Addy's matrix, but it's basically these 4 quadrants that you have to take into account when looking at a marketing strategy.
Right.
And if you have a green check mark, like a green means go, in all 4 quadrants, that is going to be a very high customer acquisition strategy or revenue growth strategy for you. It's going to be a very well-performing marketing strategy for you to use for your company.
Okay.
And when I first released the Matrix, I thought that it would help a lot of people. But it apparently is not as intuitive as I thought. So I ended up creating a marketing recommendation engine that kind of asks people more basic questions to walk them through the same process as filling out the matrix, basically. But so the matrix takes into account how the marketing strategy will impact your website search engine rankings, how it will impact your social media reach for all your company's profiles, how it will impact your internal company operations and processes, and how it will impact your whole funnel conversion and retention. A lot of times you have marketers who look at a strategy that only drives one thing forward, but you really should look at the strategies that drive all four in a positive direction.
Mm. Okay, well that's definitely something for I'm sure a lot of businesses need to consider that. That
Yeah,
are they,
especially now we're, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Are they looking at this from all angles, which you seem to have covered in that strategy?
Yeah, I mean, people look at it's the same as we were talking about prior to recording with the government only looking at primary effects of their decisions. With marketing strategies, very often you'll get people who only look at the primary effect. They don't look at the secondary and tertiary effects
Mm,
of the strategies they're choosing. And the matrix helps them to take a more holistic picture. Like, how is this going to impact the whole business? How long are we going to see an ROI on this for? Um, and where are we going to see that?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, obviously, all these things are important, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of people out there who do need that sort of analysis in their
Yeah.
businesses because you spend so much time just running your business, you don't have time necessarily for these extra things which really
Yeah.
need looking into. So,
Yeah, that's part of the reason I made the marketing recommendation the way I built it. So you have a free minute or a free few hours this afternoon or a free 20 minutes here. You can jump in, go through the marketing recommendation, answer a few questions, and it'll spit out what you need to do. Whereas
mm,
the Matrix, it required people to spend a little bit more time understanding each element of the Matrix and every
uh
element of the strategy.
yeah,
Now they can just answer, like input a few values, and
yeah,
it spits
yeah.
out, hey, this is what you should be doing right now.
Right. So let's come on to this new development which you've been working on, because you you mentioned this on an email to me, and I said that sounded like something that we should talk about. Now, I gather this application it involves using artificial intelligence to help businesses implement the marketing strategies. Now,
Yeah.
could you explain, from, just an easy to understand perspective,
Hmm.
how this application actually functions, and how did you actually go about developing it, and what are the actual the benefits for the end user?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was asked to build version one of this in, I think it was like 2014 or 2015. And at the time, I had some friends who were very tech savvy, and we looked at developing it, realized it would take a lot of time and energy to build out. So then I came up with a giant Excel that I would use to do something similar. And over the years, I edited and amended the Excel until I had a defined process that I found worked consistently across industries, across countries, across borders. Um, and I took that Excel and basically built this marketing recommendation to ask similar questions and help people to arrive at the strategy that they needed. Granted, it is not going to design your logo for you. It is not going to choose your company fonts for you. It's not going to do things like that. That's not what it's designed to do. It's literally designed to ask you questions around what your resources are right now and help you figure out how to best leverage those resources. So let's say that you have an amazing graphic designer. One recommendation might be for you to use infographics more often than not, because infographics tend to be shared a lot on social media.
Mhm,
So it's very easy for you to get shares across different channels by creating like infographics that are relevant to your users.
mhm,
GIFs, however you pronounce it, those
mm.
are tend to be really good for viral shares right now.
Ah,
Um, But then it also recommends things like for monetization strategies. For example, if you bill on a monthly cycle and you switch to billing every 4 weeks, you just you get 13 billing cycles per year instead of 12. So you've just increased your revenue by at least 8% just by making a little shift in your billing cycle. And people tend to not object when you say, "Hey, I'd like this every 4 weeks instead of monthly."
Uh-huh. Right. So that's a clever little trick. Although
Yeah,
it's
there's a lot of those. And you could see how very quickly, like, you use enough of those little tricks and your revenue skyrockets just in a matter of like weeks or months.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I have noticed. I mean, you can't help but notice things on the internet, and so many companies now are moving over to, especially software or software as a service. They're moving over to the revenue model, to the income
Yeah.
model, aren't they?
Hmm.
Because I remember in the old days, you could actually buy your software outright. Not so
Yeah,
much anymore these days.
not at all.
But it used to be that was how it worked. You bought the license to the software, you paid your money up front, and then you could use that software unlimited.
Yeah.
But that model is going out the window,
Gone.
isn't it?
Yeah, I was so annoyed when Microsoft switched to an annual subscription. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm paying $100 a year for Excel?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but that's what gave Google its opening to get in with Google Sheets and Google Docs and all of that. So
Yeah.
with every change comes opportunities for innovation.
Yep, that's right. I mean, we have to be thankful, of course. There's so much stuff that is still free,
Yeah,
and you've got to make the most of that free software. And I suppose if you want the top end of the range, then you're expected to pay the subscription. But
yeah,
if you can, if you don't need necessarily all the functions and all the bells and whistles of the top performing end, then you can probably make do with something that does the job, and
yeah,
is not nothing too fancy, but it does what you need.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's good, Addy. So tell me more about this artificial intelligence. Now, you mentioned it. You had the Excel spreadsheet which you developed and tweaked. But
Hmm.
this artificial intelligence, does it require, or did it require any programming as such? And
Yeah.
what is the platform? What does it use to function?
Um, I can answer a limited amount on that just because it's going to be investor backed.
Oh, okay.
So I can tell you that I did have to spend quite a bit of time learning new computer programming languages just to be able to build this.
Right.
Um, yeah, thank you to Harvard for their amazing courses.
Well, yeah, that
Um,
I'm sure that came in handy. So, any
yeah.
particular language or anything that you'd like to mention,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
relevant?
Yeah, obviously Python is what's
Oh,
used for
okay.
machine learning. Artificial intelligence is more of like a marketing term right now. Until we have quantum computers, you know how computers used to be the size of a room.
Yeah,
Now you can carry
sure,
one in your pocket.
exactly.
Quantum computers are currently the size of a room. When you can carry one in your pocket, artificial intelligence will be available to everybody.
Yeah,
But right
okay.
now it's available to very few.
All right.
So right now what you have is the precursor, and it's machine learning. So you're basically taking a computer, you're building like a virtual brain almost, and then you have these neurons that connect, a neural network.
Mm,
Um, so it's it does look at it technically it's artificial intelligence because you educate it and then it can make these educated decisions, but it's not operating on its own. It
no.
like the platform does need a teacher. Some people say that this is artificial intelligence because it can make intelligent decisions without a human constantly coming in and without constant human intervention.
Hmm.
But other people say no, because it needs human intervention at any point, it's not authentically artificial intelligence. So, anyways, long to shorten the answer,
Yeah.
it's I used Python and JavaScript, and then obviously to make it look somewhat decent, there's CSS and HTML,
Okay,
which
so
are the
that's
design.
yeah, that's more the design issue, isn't it? Because I did a
Yeah,
bit of web design myself. So
yeah.
that's just
Oh, I
how it.
also used PHP.
Sorry,
I also used PHP
PHP, right? Now
on the
that
back.
that's server language, isn't it?
Yeah,
Communicating with
yeah.
the server.
We have our own company servers.
Right, right.
Um, what else did I use? I think that's everything.
Yeah.
There were a few other languages that were just like a few lines of code, not a
Okay,
lot.
okay.
Um, yeah, but the main value that I think is going to be derived from it after I educate it is the thing that I'm looking most forward to is that Molo 9 will not require me to input the data that I usually look at when making decisions, and I'll have Molo 9 looking at that data directly itself and pulling that data to make those decisions for clients. So I'm actually, as I'm building it, I'm looking forward to using it myself
All right.
instead of constantly having to go and look at these different websites to collect this information and
Yeah.
going and looking at these different data reports and whatnot and extracting the data myself. I'm excited that soon I will have a virtual, truly virtual assistant that is helping me to extract and analyze the data.
Yeah, well, that sounds exciting. It's going to save you time, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. That well, originally that's what I was building it for, was for myself,
All right.
and then some friends were like, "Hey, could I get access to that?" And so then I asked my lawyer, and she was like, "That'll be an intellectual property problem unless you
Yeah,
make it a product."
yeah,
And so then I asked some friends who are investors out, well, over in Europe and out in Silicon Valley and in New York, and was like, "Hey, what do you think of this as a product or a service?" And they were like, "Yes, hell yes, like launch
yeah,
it, please."
yeah, yeah.
So that's how we got to where we are now.
Good, good. So, at what stage are you still beta testing? What stage of it are you at now?
Um, we're no longer allowed to call it beta testing. Now we have um, the MVP up, the minimum viable product. Um, I'm a little bit of a type A personality in that my MVP is a little bit more robust than I think most MVPs usually are when they launch. Um, and so we have everything up that on the front end, it looks like everything's complete. On the back end, there is still some manual work that is done on at least a weekly basis, just to make sure everything's up to date.
Uh,
I have not fully. I'm still teaching Molo 9. So right now, Molo 9 is a 2-month old. Um,
hmm.
has a 2-month old brain,
Yeah, yeah,
and not exactly like a human's 2-month old brain, but it's still very young and still needs to be educated weekly.
right.
So I'm
Can
still
we
doing that
just
behind the scenes.
can we just recap on that? You said how do you spell that? Molo or Mo?
Molo 9, like Mambo number 9.
Oh,
Do you know the song, Mom?
yeah. But is
Yeah,
it
when I
is
saw Molo9.com was for sale a few years ago, I
oh.
immediately grabbed it. Like, that is such a great name.
Okay, so that's the reason behind it. It's not some acronym then.
Pardon?
It's not an acronym developed by some kind of terminology. No.
No, it's that's a great name. It needs to be a robot. I need to figure out how to make it a robot.
Okay.
And 2 years later I got
Yeah,
it.
okay. So yeah,
Yes.
you kind of reverse engineered that bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I saw the name and I was like, one day I will make that into
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's good.
But
So are you at the stage now where you're able to market this to people? What's
yeah.
happening with it now?
So we are launching September 20th.
Oh,
We will allow 100 people in. Um, and how they use Molo 9 actually educates Molo 9. So I need to know if
Hmm.
somebody taught Molo 9 a bad behavior that I need to get rid of. Um, so that's why we only allow 100 people in, kind of
Yeah,
like sending your child off to middle school, hoping they don't get any
bad
pick up any
habits.
bad habits. Yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
then in October, we will allow another 100 people in.
all right.
I will have to go through and probably debug a little bit. And then November, another 100. And then probably December or January, we will finally launch to the public. But
I
I mean,
see.
we do have a wait list open to the public.
Mm,
Everyone's able to join it. Everyone on the wait
mm.
list gets a notification every time we allow 100 more people in.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's completely, yeah, it's not
Mm,
like,
mm.
oh, sorry, you're not in the Cool Kids Club. You can't try
No,
Molo
no.
9.
Okay.
But
All right. Well,
yeah.
that's interesting. So could you just explain to everybody listening? Let's say somebody, can see the benefit of this and they sign up to it. What happens? Do they log on to some kind of website or something, and do
Yep.
they?
Yes, so I kept it as a website simply because the wait list is global, it's international,
Yeah.
and to sit there and have to upload it and get it approved on the App Store in every single country is it's just too much right now.
All right.
And people don't really care if it's on the App Store. They can still access it. I built it so it's mobile responsive. They can access it from any phone. They can access it in any country.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I decided to keep it as a web app for right now, a web-based application for right now.
Right. Right.
Um, might come out with a mobile application in the future, but as of right now, the international expansion, it'll prevent the international expansion from going as quickly as people are asking for it to go.
Oh. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Sort of.
Like,
Let's try and build up a picture of this. So they log on to the website, and
yes.
then I'm assuming that the artificial intelligence or the learning machine will ask you a series of questions about your business. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes, so it'll ask you these questions, and
Yeah.
if you say yes, it moves you on to the next question. If you say no, it says, would you like to learn how to do this? And
Okay.
then it directs you to a guide. Some of the guides have been written by other marketers who wanted to collaborate and contribute their knowledge to Molo 9. Other guides have been, I think I've written about 80% of the guides. Um, Although more people are sending in their own guides to add to Molo 9 on a regular basis, weekly basis.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not Molo 9, as much as I'm the one that's educating it, the guides that we have that are accessible to everyone that pays to access Molo 9, they're written by a community of marketers.
Mm, mm. Okay. Okay. Well, it's certainly got a lot of backing then. Obviously, you've got a network of
Yeah.
people who are getting into it and are prepared
Yeah.
to sort of invest time into the project.
Yeah, so for example, there's one thing that I've noticed with every company I've worked with. I take them through this process that I call making them growth hackable, which just means it makes their company easy to grow.
Oh,
And after I take them through this process, any marketing strategy that we try to implement, it gets 10x what it did prior to them working with MD9, the consulting company. And so Molo 9, the first time you go into Molo 9, she walks you through that same exact process. And so she'll ask you, have you done this? Does your company make you money while you sleep? Do you have these passive income streams yet? Would you like to help setting them up? This is how you set them up.
mm,
And then she walks you through your branding. Okay, this is what scientifically is proven to get brands adopted fastest. Do you have these? Do you follow these formulas yet? If not, here's how to set them up.
hmm.
And so she walks you through the whole growth hackable process. And then she takes you to the fun part, which is, okay, now that your company is primed to grow, think about taking a race car and optimizing it before the race. Where would you like to go? What's your goal? And then you can answer, I would like to have more revenue streams. So revenue stream diversification. I would like to increase customer acquisition. I would like to increase customer retention, improve conversion rates. You can ask all these different, you can select one of these goals, and then she walks you through what to do. Well, she asks you more questions to figure out which strategies would be best for you to meet that goal.
Mm, mm.
So let's say your goal is customer acquisition. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you've made that quite clear.
Yeah.
Has this been tested on real life businesses at all?
Yes. So Molo 9 is based off of the consulting work I've been doing with MD9 since 2017. The company that I grew to 108 million in less than 5 years, it was bootstrapped, and we used Molo 9. The process that I put into Molo 9 was used there.
Mm.
Everything that's in Molo 9 has been tested on my client projects. It's not stuff that's just made up out of thin air.
No.
The people who are submitting their own guides, they don't just get to, it's not like I have a random marketer sending me a guide. They have to go through a rigorous process where they go through this entire application process, submit their guide. And if they meet certain criteria, if they actually have implemented the strategy they're suggesting, and they have 3 case studies and testimonials showing that this has been successful, then we accept their guide. It's not like just a random bunch of blind shooters like throwing out information.
Right.
It's all very high quality. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
What,
Good.
what Molo 9 is offering is quality advice.
Mm.
You can get crappy free advice everywhere online. What? Why would we give you more crappy free advice? Like, no. If you want quality advice that's like data backed, it's been done before, it's proven to work, and you're serious about growth, you're going to talk to Molo 9.
Okay.
If you're looking to just get as far as you can without paying a dollar, I'm sure you can find 50 SEO checklists online for free written by a copywriter who's never implemented an SEO strategy.
Right. That's a fair point. Yes. There's so much information out there, and the trick is being able to sift through and get down to the heart of the matter.
And what's going to work for your company.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like taking vitamins. People think, oh, this guy takes vitamin D, I should take vitamin D. Well, do you have a vitamin D deficiency? No? Okay, why would you take vitamin D? Like,
Yeah.
people pick up this marketing strategy thinking, oh, it worked for that guy, it'll work for me. And it's like, no, you're in a different country, in a different target market. You're offering a completely different solution to completely different people. What on earth makes you think this is going to work for you? Like, yeah, it's so Molo 9 takes into account all of those things to actually give you what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah,
So I mean, you're talking kind of on an international level then. So will it
yeah.
initially go out to just English-speaking countries then, or will it be translatable into other languages, perhaps? Or
It is not translatable yet. Through Google Chrome, you can use the Google Translate function
oh yeah,
to translate every single page, but we have not made the internal translation function yet.
no, no. Well,
Yeah.
obviously that's a huge task in itself, isn't it, to be able to translate it into various different languages. But obviously
Yeah.
English being the prime language, but also Spanish, because there's Spanish is the second largest used language in the world, isn't it?
Is it? I thought it was Arabic or French.
Well, it's not what I've heard. I mean, I heard it was Spanish, that there are more Spanish speakers um, in the world, but I could be wrong. I could be
Okay.
wrong.
China's coming up next.
Yeah, yeah. But I think because there are so many different countries which use Spanish, and China
Yeah.
just being one country on its own,
Yeah.
but you do have a point that China obviously is becoming, is a superpower,
Yeah.
and it's
And the population size.
yeah, yeah. In terms of population, we're talking what, more than 1 billion, aren't
Yeah.
we? So So yeah, there is that. That's also another consideration whether you want to roll it out in China or some other major country, which
Yeah.
you know may be a possibility in the future. I'm imagining.
By keeping it hosted on the web, it's accessible to pretty much every country that can access a .com.
Yeah, yeah,
So that is that is actually the main reason that it's hosted as a web application, is so that no one has a boundary from being able to access it. Because initially I did look at making it into a mobile app, and I had quite a few people that were complaining that they couldn't access it in Europe unless I uploaded it to like Spain's store and
oh,
Italy's store and England's
oh, I
app store. And I
see.
was like,
Right.
I know I'm not submitting it
No,
to
no,
48 countries right now.
no.
If I make it a web app, everyone can access it.
That's
Yeah, it's much
well,
easier to go international faster.
yeah, yeah. That certainly makes sense. That certainly makes sense. So if people want to access this at the moment,
Yeah.
then they have to sign up to a waiting list. Is that right?
Yeah, they have to sign up to the waitlist at molo9.com. And
Molo9.com.
yep. And then from there, I will be announcing this week exactly the day that it opens. And then the first 100 people to sign up will get access, and everyone else will have to wait until the next 100 are admitted mid-October.
Right. So at this stage, is it
Mhm.
are we at the stage where it's still kind of a bit experimental and people can just log on and try it and see if it's of benefit?
No, it is a premium access. So people who are looking for a freemium model, we do not have that built in yet.
No. And
So
is that something which could be implemented?
maybe at some point in the future, but as of right now, no.
No.
Simply because I do have a lot of competitors who signed up, and I am acutely aware of the fact that many of them are signing up looking to see how they can rip Molo 9 and make their own version.
Oh.
So they could pay to come in and look at how they're going to try to rip my intellectual property, and my intellectual property lawyer will be ready at the helm if she needs to chase anyone down.
Yeah.
So at this early stage, we are not opening it up to people that want free access. I've also found that people who want free access are the ones who tend to complain the most, and they have no intention of ever buying the premium access. And I don't have the bandwidth for those types of people right now.
No.
And people who are saying, "Hey, I want to work with a D Susan. I know she's 1,500 an hour, and I can get access to her app for $97 a month. I would really love to do that right now." Those people can get access.
Hmm.
Anyone that wants it for free, they're going to have to wait. I don't know if or when we'll come out with a freemium,
No.
but if someone's looking for a freemium, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for. And if all of the free articles out there leave you wanting, maybe it's time to pay, I don't know, $97 a month to grow your company to a few million. Like if you're serious about growing your company, like to even just six figures,
Mm.
like less than $100 a month to pay for growth, I think is not a bad investment.
Mm.
You would pay far more for a marketing consultant than you pay for Molo 9.
Okay. All
And
right.
you're getting access to premium consulting advice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've certainly made that very clear what it's all about. Um, and obviously, time will tell, won't it? Whether I suppose you'll get some people who will stay for the long term, and you'll get some who may feel perhaps it doesn't suit them. I mean, that's just
That's
natural.
business.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course,
I mean,
of
we
course.
have something called churn because that's part of business.
Yeah.
Churn rate wouldn't be a word in the marketing vocabulary if people didn't leave companies.
No, no.
And I'm perfectly okay with that. I mean, you're always going to have people who don't like something, and you're always going to have people who love it. And what I've found over the years is the people who are your critics, who are not your fans, if you pay attention to them, the
Mm.
people who value you and value your company are going to feel disrespected because
Right.
they're giving you their attention, they're giving you their admiration,
Yeah.
and you're not giving them your attention, you're giving a critic your attention, and you should never waste time on that. Because when you give a critic your attention, you lose the respect of the people who actually like you and want to have your attention and want to and value your time and respect your time.
Right, right.
So yeah, I know I have plenty of critics, but I also know that I have more fans than critics, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
okay with paying attention to my fans.
That's good. That's good. Um, so, Addy, let's, if we may, shall we talk about the current situation and the crisis that we're going through with
Yeah.
businesses right now? Because the last time I spoke to you, none of this had transpired.
I know.
It was the stage that we were in was that it was on the news that there'd been this problem with the virus out in Wuhan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, and that they were under lockdown,
Yeah.
but it hadn't transpired that this was coming across to hit us in Europe and in the United States and everywhere. So we've been through a huge tsunami of
Yeah.
disruption, haven't we? So I was going to ask you, Addy. So certain sectors have been very badly affected by all the ramifications of the COVID virus and the government lockdowns and all these government rulings, which have had a very bad effect on many sectors, such as holidays and travel, restaurants, and leisure, and the entertainment sector. So,
Yeah.
given all these catastrophic changes,
Real
what
estate was also hit.
what is that right? Yeah. Um, what can be done in terms of adaptive marketing strategies? I mean, is there any advice that you would offer to businesses, generally who are perhaps really struggling at this time? I mean, is there some
Yeah.
helpful advice in terms of what of the knowledge that you have that you could give to businesses just to say what their options are.
Yeah, absolutely. So what no I've noticed is there are those who are saying, look, there's money to be made, and I'm going to figure out how to make it. And there are those who are saying, oh, it's a pandemic, nothing's moving, I have nothing to do, I'm just going to sit home and binge watch Netflix and mourn about the current pandemic. And you notice that people who are doing well right now, they're saying, hey, there is like the money just didn't disappear, it didn't go to Mars. The money's still on this planet, and people are still exchanging currency in certain sectors. And so you have to figure out a way to make yourself appealing and to market yourself to those sectors that are making the most of the money right now.
Yeah.
So, for example, I know an event planner. She's an amazing, amazing event planner, and she has a company that's rolling out soon to help people have gorgeous events in their homes. It's called Luxfeet Social, LSF. They're about to get a huge wave of like press coverage. It's amazing, and people are really excited for her product, and they're getting this amazing designer and event planner. She's a celebrity event planner. They're getting all of her stuff in a box in their home monthly. And then you have other restaurants that are saying, okay, you know what? We're going to make the meals for your home. And it used to be that there were only certain service providers that you had to sign up to get a monthly subscription or a weekly subscription of them bringing lunch and dinner to your house every day. So I think we pay my family, we pay $300 a week, and we get breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all three of us brought to the house, prepackaged every week. It's paleo, ketogenic, and we're able to put it in the microwave, eat very healthy. And a lot of restaurants are sitting here saying there's no business. It's like, no, that's not true. You have people who are working from home who are crazy busy, who have less time to cook now because their kids are home with them.
Yeah.
And if just create a solution for those people.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
I know a few realtors who work in luxury real estate rentals, and what they did is they mailed kits for their renters, the people who are renting the luxury mansions in New England, they mailed them kits to get on the plane with to make sure that they were safe. So they mailed to the renters like someone who's renting a vacation house for 40,000 a week. They mailed them. They ordered for them the visor, the face mask, everything, the booties, everything they needed to go through their flight to get to the vacation destination. And then when they got there, they were able to actually enjoy for the week. So you do have people who are sitting here saying there's no money. But then you also have people who are saying there is money and I'm going to find a way to make it. And they're the ones who are innovating and changing what they're doing, changing their business model, figuring out ways to make themselves invaluable to the people who are being paid. And therefore, they continue to be paid as well.
Well, yeah, you know, that's definitely an option if people are able to make those changes. Obviously, some businesses
They have to.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean there is
That's
that.
their other option. Like yeah. For example, the hotels. Okay, right now, yeah, they're in a lot of trouble. But what can they be doing? Do they have restaurants in those hotels? Yes. Okay, they should be offering a meal delivery service because you
Really.
know that they had valet drivers. They can easily turn those valet drivers into their delivery guys. They can
Mm,
easily turn that hotel staff into food delivery people. They have, do they have a gym in that hotel? Great. They can start renting out that gym equipment. They can have whoever the gym instructor was, they can have a gym instructor come and teach a class there that's virtual. People are paying $5 to $10 a class to attend that virtual Zoom class, and it's held via
yeah.
Zoom. I have my neighbor across the street. She's a personal trainer, and she's a Pilates instructor at one of the local gyms,
Mm,
and she's now teaching workout classes on Zoom. You Venmo her $15, and she sends you the link for that day's Zoom class. And she's
mm,
now actually making more than she did when she was teaching Pilates at the school. So it's the people who are hustlers who are figuring out a way to continue to make money or continuing to make money. Um, I have a few friends that they own gyms. And what they did is they rented out the gym equipment to the people that were their gym members. And they said, hey, your gym membership, we understand you're not getting the best out of it right now. Would you like to rent a specific piece of equipment? And that's how they protected their revenue. And they actually made more because they were able to go buy wholesale the gym equipment, and they had some people who opted to buy it from them. So they didn't expect to be gym equipment vendors, but that's what they turned into.
mm.
People need to work out.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
very quickly pull the data and say, pre-COVID, these or pre-COVID, I had these 300 gym members that were coming to the gym religiously every morning. Most
Mm,
likely, they did not stop working out. They're now working out at home. They're going to buy that equipment off of Amazon, or me, as the gym owner, having their email address, I can shoot them an email and say, hey, I noticed that you used to come to the gym Monday through Friday at 5 in the morning. I would love to know which equipment you would like for us to send to your house. Would you prefer to continue your gym membership, or would you like to buy some gym equipment from us?
mm, mm.
Make it
Well,
easy for people to continue what they loved doing.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
That does certainly make sense, and it's obviously, as you say, businesses are going to have to try and adapt to that. The other question is,
Yeah.
of course, it's an unknown quantity. How long we've got to put up with these measures of possible lockdowns and all this distancing, which the effectiveness of that again is debatable.
Yeah.
So there again, some businesses may be trying to just wait it out and just say,
If they can afford to,
yeah,
great. I know some companies that their operating expense is what? 7% of their revenue is uh yeah, 7% of their revenue covers their entire overhead for a year. They can afford to sit and wait out the lockdown. But
mm,
how many people do that?
I know,
Those are privately owned businesses. The
yeah,
publicly owned business would never operate like that.
right,
And so there are very few privately owned businesses that are like that they can afford to wait it out. But very few people are like that. Very few people can afford to wait out a pandemic for a decade.
yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't go on that long.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a whole political agenda to it, and there's so many implications to this.
Yeah.
Um, and you see, the other thing is, at the moment, as as you pointed out, there are certain things which happen down further down the line,
Yeah.
and we're probably not at that stage yet where everything has
Trickled down.
yeah, trickled down to its lowest point. So
Yeah.
um, we could be on the brink of a massive depression. Alternatively, others have said that it's going to be buoyed up, that the economy will be buoyed up due to a massive injection of money from various governments around the world, and
We're
that will.
borrowing money from our future selves.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is another issue about future generations. Will they suffer because of all of this stuff that's going on right now? And that's an
Historically, the answer to that has been yes.
right, right. And how long has that got to go on for? So these are major questions which obviously it's almost impossible to give an answer to. But all we
Yeah.
can do is speculate and at least put some effort into considering what the long term implications are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't even know. Hopefully, this is just a one-time thing and this doesn't become like an annual flu that's just constantly passing around, circulating around the country, around the globe.
Yeah, yeah, there is that. I mean, there's many people have speculated about this, and some people have the theory that there are hidden agendas to all of this.
I
Um,
mean, it makes sense.
and time will tell. Time will tell. But I think personally, I find some of these measures a bit. I think some of it is overdone myself, because at the end of the day, it's rather like, can people, for example, can everybody say they never want to catch the flu anymore? A virus, you might slow it down, but you can't stop it. That's why I think it's important
Yeah.
for everybody, for all countries to actually develop immunity to it, and that's
Yeah.
obviously a gradual process, but it has to happen.
Yeah.
Um, that we can't keep just running and hiding. I don't think that that is not um, that's not the way forward. And the other thing is that the vaccine, again, that's very controversial. The vaccine, um,
Hmm.
we don't yet know what goes into that vaccine. Um, are we ever going to be told what is in the vaccine? I've spoken to many people, and a lot of them have said, well, they're not keen to take a vaccine when it's unproven, and we don't know what goes into
Yeah.
it. And is it being rushed
Yeah.
out into the marketplace? Is it a money making exercise? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
money in vaccines. In fact, I saw an article which was talking about in your country, they were talking about the cost of the vaccine is going to be more than $30 a shot. Now, if you multiply that $30 by the population of the United States, which is more than 300 million, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't take a genius to see how much money is involved in these things.
And 90% of that is going to the lawyers who will be protecting them from malpractice lawsuits.
Yeah, and there's already been various bills passed which protect the pharmaceutical companies from damages.
Yeah.
So,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, so these things are concerning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
It is unfortunate.
but as I say, we have to hope for the best, and time will tell. But I personally, I think we've got to be a bit cautious about who you trust, and don't just necessarily follow what you see on the media, because again,
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely. Not
so
at
much
all.
so much of it is overdone, and they can put you in
Yeah.
a state of fear if you're not careful. So
Well, so when you are afraid, you spend 5 times the amount of energy looking up more and spending more time reading an article, and you spend 5 times, you share it 5 times more.
oh
It
right,
gets, and when you are made happy by an article,
yeah,
you will spend only 2 times, you'll spend less than half of that amount of energy on reading the article, on reading more on that website, and on sharing it.
yeah,
So the
right,
reason they do the fear mongering is
yeah.
because it's better for their advertising
It's a way
for those news platforms.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can well
there's a
understand that.
book called "Trust Me, I'm Lying: Confessions of a Media Manipulator," and he actually breaks down why it is more cost effective for news outlets to cause fear than it is for them to cause joy. And it all boils down to how much the advertisers pay them for the number of impressions and the number of shares they get from fear-based articles versus joy-based articles.
Right.
Yeah, so it goes back to the all goes back to the dollar,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Well, that's certainly relevant what you've said there, because not everybody's going to be aware of those facts, and
Yeah,
you've put that quite clearly, um,
yeah,
which it does make sense. Unfortunately, that's the way things are, isn't it?
yeah,
You know, you know.
absolutely.
So anyway, Adi, we have to hope for better times. We have to hope that things will improve.
Yes, and
uh,
plan for them.
yeah, and obviously, I hope you have some good success with your latest project,
Thank you.
because I'm sure you've put a lot of effort into these things, and
Yeah.
a lot of time and energy has gone into this, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to the time when you enjoy the results of that.
What I'm really looking forward to is the day I hire a COO,
A what?
a chief operating officer.
What's the idea behind that?
A chief operating officer is the right hand of the chief executive officer. So they basically, you take your entire workload, you hand it to them, and they help you to figure out who can implement it fastest.
Ah,
Basically, a right hand.
yeah,
Um, yeah, who is literally there to take your vision and help it come to fruition.
yeah, yeah. Well, that would be an ideal situation, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
because they also they become the go-between between you and managing the team. And right now, I have more than 50 freelancers around the globe
all
that
right.
I handle myself. And as
Yeah.
soon as I have a chief operating officer, I can hand them all to him or
I
her.
see, I see. And then you can maybe just have some relaxation time.
Yes, then I can really do it. See what people are talking about with this whole 9 to 5 thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Addy. Well, anyway, it's been good talking to you, and as I say, it was interesting to hear about your latest project,
Thank you.
and we wish you good success with that. And so, thank you, Addy, for coming on the show.
Thank you for
And
having me.
no, that's no, we're pleased to hear from you, and thanks to everybody for listening. And
Yes.
we'll speak to you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.